Dear Jesus, thank you so much for this day and the opportunity to hop on this podcast and talk, share my thoughts, share my struggles, share things that I'm going through so that other people can hopefully relate to it, learn from it, be sharpened by it. God, I pray you just help anybody that's listening right now if they're going through something difficult. I pray you'll give them the strength and the wisdom, the patience, and just the peace and comfort to be able to overcome whatever it is that they're facing and come out better, stronger, wiser, just all around a better person on the other side of it. God, I pray you'll help them to just be encouraged today and help my words, help me to be able to learn from what I'm about to share as well. And thank you for all you do for us. In your name I pray. Amen. Just to come with Thanksgiving and just lift this whole episode up to God. I just felt really led to do that. So I hope that if whatever it is you got going on right now, if you are struggling with something, that maybe it's something that I went through this week that we can both learn from together. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm just a guy trying to figure out life, just like any of you watching this. So I appreciate you tuning in. A couple good things I got coming up here that I'm working on. Summer, with the way that it is, it gets pretty busy. It gets kind of difficult to record and have schedules line up to bring people on. So we're just filling the gaps right now, just getting these little videos in when I can, and it's been fun. It's cool. At the end of each week, I try to look at something that I learned in the past week, different experiences that I went through that stood out to me, and we're gonna kind of go through some of those right now. Also, got a new chair. It is a hand-me-down because my wife works from home, so she had a nice office chair that she was like, I need a new one. You can have my old one. Sweet bonus. Typically, I stand. I stand a lot with the desk that I have, the setup that I have, but also looking to get some new equipment. So if you guys have any if you have any advice on the best options right now, I'm just running off my phone and this mic that I got, or these mics that I got, I think at the beginning of the year from I think it was a gift from my mom. Shout out, Mom. Appreciate you. But yeah, looking to get maybe a new camera setup. I think I like how these mics run, but I'm currently operating off of a older MacBook, and I think it's like 10 years old at this point, so it needs to be plugged in at all times. And when I plug in the receiver for my microphone, it doesn't fit, and I can't charge it at the same time. And the quality's kind of rough on that camera anyway. But anyway, so working on getting some of that. So I'm going to be having some merch coming out here for the fall. A couple new items. I have the hats as well that I've got. I have a couple coins left over as well. So if you didn't get in on the challenge coins and you want one of those, I've got maybe like 5 or 6 left of these, but these are pretty cool. I carry one of these in my vest at work, or with me at work, just a reminder to stay sharp whenever I see it. Go, man, yeah, I gotta think better, gotta do better, and kind of what we're gonna talk about today is some accountability, practicing listening, and being unashamed, and having this with me kind of helps me remember that if it's on my dash, in my car, or on my desk like this one is, or just carrying it in my vest at work, just as a reminder to stay sharp. How would the best possible version of myself react or respond in this situation? And it's pretty neat. But also have those hats. Got a couple of these left over, and some people have been wearing them, and then their friends have seen them and been like, "Hey, where'd you get that? Can I get one?" So I really appreciate it, for real. It means more than you know to see the pictures you guys are sending wearing these hats, and having your friends say, "Hey, that's really cool. I want to get one." And getting to them as well. So I've got a couple of these left over, $30. All the money that I'm making from these, and it's not it's not much by any means. After I get these all shipped in and stuff, but it's going back into the podcast as far as equipment and stuff, and trying to grow, trying to expand my outreach, and seeing what I can to try to make a difference the most that I can. Just for anybody else that may be needing to hear this, but at the end of the day, if I got 1, 2, 3 listeners, or if it's just myself talking on here, I honestly get so much out of it. And it's awesome to be able to have people participating, reaching out, asking questions, giving opinions. Truly means a lot. So if you're listening and you have opinions, you have some corrective, or some what's the word, criticism, constructive criticism, I guess corrective criticism too. Let me have it. It's I'm working with what I got. I'm not a professional with this equipment, but we're getting there. We're growing, and I think I'm coming up to 80 episodes here pretty soon. I did the Jab series a while back, and I think there was like 10 episodes there. So it may show that I have 83 episodes after this one, but technically it's like 70 something with full length episodes that I've done. But also on Apple Podcasts now, so anything that I submit to Spotify is going to shoot it over to Apple Podcast. And so if you're listening on there, sweet, stoked to have you on Apple Podcast. Uh, Again, just trying to grow, just trying to reach as many people as I can. I've seen some posts lately, trying to grow this thing. I'm getting this getting spammed in my algorithm of these people saying, "Hey, with this amount of money, you can get this many followers." And in all reality, it's like, what's going to change overnight if I get 1 million followers? So I'm going to continue doing the best that I can with what I have, regardless of how many followers I have. And I want it to be authentic. I'd rather have 10 people follow this and watch this and get something out of it than have 1 million fake robots or whatever. But that's beside the point. I'm kind of rambling at this point, so we're just gonna get right into it. All that to say, got some cool stuff going on over here. So with that, getting right into it, the first thing that I learned this week, I was at a bachelor party. Shout out Tim. Bachelor party for him. He's getting married here coming up pretty soon. And I had to practice the skill of listening. And there's a couple different examples I have of this. But the first one was at this bachelor party. A lot of guys. There was like a group of, I think, 8 to 9 guys all in the same place. And we were kind of hanging out, talking. And I'm somebody that really enjoys talking, even if it is to myself or by myself, as you know. So talking with these guys, and we'd get some opinions, and some stuff would come up, and we'd have conversations, and yeah, I'd get into it and I'd talk about it. But then 2 people or 3 people get really passionate about what they're talking about, and they're going back and forth, and I'm like just dying to get my like what I have something on the tip of my tongue. It's like I just want to say it. It's almost like an itch that I need to scratch just by getting my opinion in there. And I had to kind of just take a back seat and observe. I was pretty quiet for that day just because of everything going on, but just sitting there, listening, hearing, and processing the information rather than trying to interject and force my opinion into the conversation. It was kind of cool to just take a back seat and listen to what these guys had to say, what they were passionate about, or whatever topic we were discussing. Genuinely hearing and listening to listen, not to respond. And I think a lot of people could benefit from doing something like that, especially when it comes to politics or faith or religion. Some of the topics you don't like to talk about, for whatever reason. I think we should all be able to talk about whatever we want to and be able to have a mutual conversation, whether you agree or disagree. But anyway, I think we can all learn from just sitting back and listening, just to listen, and listening to hear and to process the information and learn from it. Go, oh, that's an interesting point of view. That's an interesting perspective. And that's one of the reasons why I do this, and having people on, especially being able to talk with them and hear different perspectives from their stories, and think, well, I never heard of that, or man, I never thought about that before, or looked at it that way. I appreciate you sharing your opinion. I appreciate you sharing what was on your heart, because now I'm able to process that and learn from it, dissect it, and either change my viewpoint or have it challenge the one that I already have. If we're challenging our viewpoints rather than just trying to force our opinions, we're able to fortify what we already believe, or change it up a little bit and say, hey, I appreciate your perspective and I'm gonna do better in this area, or I appreciate your opinion, but it doesn't line up with what I agree, and this is why, and we're gonna move forward. And we talk about our why. I've talked about that before. Why we do what we do, why we believe what we believe, and if we're continually challenging that and we're listening, processing, hearing what other people have to say, it just reinforces our why. It gives us another counter. It gives us another, not argument, but argument for why we believe what we believe, when we're able to tell that with other people. And it was cool. It was tough because I wanted to just get my words out there, wanted to get my opinions out there, things that I'd heard, but to hear other people what they had to say and just kind of watch them discuss what they were discussing was really cool. And that didn't mean I had to be quiet the entire time. Like, obviously I was still able to voice my opinions and kind of chat a little bit with them and grow. But in my mind, I was like, I want to say what I want to say right now, and I need to say it. but what good is it going to do because everybody's just saying their opinions anyway. So it was really cool. It was a humbling experience to just listen, process, and hear them out. And I'm part of a leadership program that's going on right now at where I work, and we've watched these videos too. We kind of start some of the meetings that we do. It's like a 5 to 10 minute video on leadership, and it's just kind of fitting how the last one that we did was on listening and hearing the other person out and not forcing our opinions or try to fix or solve the problem for them right away. Being in the profession, the career that I have been in over the past 6 to 7 years, um, I didn't do that on purpose, but anyway, for the six-ish, 7-ish years that I've been within law enforcement, I've always wanted to try to solve people's problems or do what I can to figure out what's going on and how I can put a band-aid on it or how I can fix what they have going on, and it carries over into my life at home, whether it's my friends, my family, or my wife. She has something going on, and I try to fix it or I try to shoot solutions at it. Oh, I really have a headache, or I'm really, I had a bit, my work just was really tough today, or oh, I really don't want to go teach this yoga class, or whatever it is that she's facing. Rather than going, hey, I'm really sorry. What can I do to support you? It's, well, how much water have you had to drink, or have you taken the Tylenol, or can somebody just cover for you tonight, or whatever. I'm like trying to spit solutions and my opinions rather than sometimes you just need somebody to be there for you. And in that video, it talked about sometimes we just need somebody to make us feel or to help us feel that we are supported, that we are loved, and sometimes when we just have that support, we just feel like we have somebody there with us with whatever it is we're going through, whether they disagree or agree. They're just there to listen. It truly means a lot. And I've been there before. Sometimes I'm reaching out to people, and more often than not, I'm looking for advice, looking for a solution, a fix. Hey, what would you do in this situation? But then there is sometimes where it's like, hey, I'm just really struggling. I'm in a funk. And I just need to hear you to hear me out for a little bit to make sure I'm not crazy. uh, and it's really appreciated. It's very comforting. Sometimes after you get it off your chest, it solves the problem. You don't have that issue anymore. You're like, hey, now that I've said it out loud and got it off my chest, I'm not feeling this way anymore. And I appreciate being there to listen. And sometimes the person hasn't even done anything other than just sit there, but the appreciation is still valid, and it means a lot. And sometimes listening to yourself, that was the third part of that one. It was self with others as a group, kind of holding it in myself. It was my listening with another person, an individual, being there to listen to what they have to say, to help them out, to be there for them and not just force opinions and try to fix it. It doesn't always need to be fixed. But for myself as well, practicing listening to myself, hearing and processing different emotions, different feelings that are coming through. Because a lot of times we just kind of shove them to the side. We don't want to take them in and examine them. We just kind of push them off to the side and we continue to do what we do, and it builds up, and then all of a sudden we act out or we crash and we're really struggling, when in all reality our body was telling us all along, hey, this is going on, we need to try to solve this. You're feeling this way about this situation. Let's dive into it a little bit. Why do you feel that way? And it can help you later on with different decisions that you're making. And that's what I've learned. Anxiety is it's almost like an alert system for my body. Like, okay, why do you feel this way? You're a little nervous right now. You may be walking into a situation at work where somebody might be amped up. We have an officer come in with somebody on the street, and they're requesting additional officers down there. It's like, okay, I'm getting anxious. Here we go. We're gonna go down there, and you kind of you do your little routine or whatever to stay calm, to stay focused and ready. But if I were to just take that anxious feeling and let it just sit there and dwell, rather than go, okay, I see you. We're going to work through this. I appreciate the heads up. I appreciate the alertness. There is potential danger down there, and my body is readying me for it by saying, hey, here's some anxiety. And it doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it's like, golly, get out of here. I don't like this feeling. But we get to decide what we do with it. And if it is too extreme, we again are still deciding what to do with it by going to seek help, by going to a therapist, by taking a medication to help even us out, or whatever it is. But that's my example of that, because that's what I've experienced with anxiety. My body is telling me something, my feelings, my emotions are telling me something, or even if I'm in a slump, like over the past couple of days at work, even I just wasn't feeling it. And I kind of let some of my coworkers know I'm just off today. I don't really know why. I don't have a reason for it. Just kind of struggling. I mean, honestly, don't really want to be here today at work. Just not really feeling it, and it's tough to stay positive. It's tough to stay encouraged and motivated all the time when you're going through different situations like that and dealing with certain people. It gets really old, and I'm doing good. We're doing fine. Everything's all right, but it's just sometimes it's just you gotta listen to what your mind is telling you, what your feelings are telling you, rather than just going through the motions, going home, scrolling on your phone, watching TV, going to sleep, waking up, doing it all over again. Like if you just sit there and go, okay, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? What is really going on inside my mind, and is there something that I could do to fix this so that I am able to be who I want to be, able to be that person, that I'm able to be there for my family and my friends, my career. So I encourage you to practice listening. Where can you listen more in your life? Where can you hear? Where can you process this information more, rather than just jumping in and into certain things, or setting them off to the side? I have two more. I'm just going to briefly touch on the second one. Accountability, even when it is tough. Working with a couple inmates at the jail, I've got good rapport with both of them, and they were both in the impact program, but they acted out. They did stupid things, and it was tough to have to discipline them by issuing them lockdown. But it was something that there's no way around it. And after the situation had happened, it was right before lockdown time, and so I went down and got a workout in. And during the workout, I was thinking about, okay, how am I going to address this situation? And when I got back up there, I talked to them both individually and said, "This is what you did, and this is what's going to happen as a result of it." And it's nothing that I did, even though I feel bad about it. It's nothing that I did for this situation. You two are both guilty of what you did. One of them apologized to me, which was awesome, meant a lot. Apologized for disrespecting me in that situation, and the other, he continued to appoint and assess blame and lie, and it was extremely frustrating to see that happen. And I had to be the one to hold them accountable to both of their actions in that situation. Maybe you have a friend who is struggling with something or treated you a certain way. Maybe they posted something online that you don't agree with, or maybe they seem a little bit off. Maybe they said some stuff that you're like, whoa, that's just not like you. What's going on? Why did you use that language? Why did you act that way towards that person? Why did you say those things? Sometimes holding them accountable can be really difficult. Why are you doing this? Why are you engaging in this behavior with these people? Especially if it's a family member, it can be really difficult, but holding them accountable, it can be, and it probably is, should be the right thing to do. It's tough. It's hard for me because I like to build bridges. I don't ever want to break a bridge. And so when I'm trying to help people and form a bridge of, we're building this bridge so that you can go out there and be a productive member of society, do great things. I don't ever want to be in the way of that. I don't want to be the one to cause that bridge to break, to have them spiral down. Even though it's not my responsibility, I can give them all these tools, and it's up to them to build their bridge. And that's a great analogy right there. That's why we do this. I'm learning right now as I'm speaking. I'm not the bridge builder. I help provide the tools for it, and they're the ones that decide if they want to connect the bridge to something greater, or to have the tools just sit there in a pile, get rusty and dirty, or if they just want to destroy their own bridges as a result. Man, I'm really glad that I do these. That's it's extremely helpful because again, like I said, I like to build bridges, but it's not my bridge, and it's not my responsibility. It's their bridge. They're the ones that build it. I help provide the tools for it. I provide the tools for you. I help. I can give. You mean you can give advice to these people? You can help them. You show them the way that they should go, and if they don't want to do it, then they can enjoy wherever their bridge takes them, I guess. We'll end it right there because I learned a lot with that one. Man, I'm happy I went with that one. But one more I got here is being unashamed. Being unashamed of who you are, being unashamed of the gospel. I've got it sitting right here. I got a verse to go along with that one. And both of these examples come from church this past weekend. I was sitting in church, or I was up on stage. I was getting ready to sing with the worship team, and people were kind of trickling in, coming in. And right before we started, I saw my wife in the back. She had just come in, and you've probably been there in some way, shape, or form, where you're at a program and there's kids up front or at a play or whatever, and they're looking in the crowd for their parents, and they finally see them and they light up and they wave, and you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of cute. But I was in the shoes of the little kid in this situation. I was up on stage and I was getting ready to sing, and I could see my wife and my kid in the back, and she was kind of pointing like, "Hey, it's Dad. That's Dad up there." And he was looking, and I saw him, and he saw me, and I put my hand up, give the biggest wave, and people might have been like, "What's he waving at?" or whatever. And a lot of times we don't do those things because we're too afraid or too concerned with about with how other people are going to perceive us. Why is that guy waving? Okay, I mean, he's up on stage to worship, to lead in worship. Why is he waving to the crowd or whatever? And whatever their opinions might be at that point, I didn't care. I was not ashamed to be his dad and to say hi to my son, my little boy, who was way in the back, waving, putting myself in a vulnerable position for his sake, to say hi to him, not caring about what other people thought. And maybe you're like, yeah, I would wave anyway, it doesn't matter. You may have a certain opinion on that, but for me, sometimes it can be uncomfortable, especially when you're up there just to do what you're doing. But then on top of that, go out of, bring more attention to yourself by waving. It can be uncomfortable. And in that situation, I really didn't think about it because it was him and it didn't matter at that point. And so that was really cool to be able to just wave to him unashamed. And another example, not too much longer after that, I believe it was the second service. We're singing a song up there, and it was so much fun to be able to experience it and to be a part of this. And I can't remember off the top of my head which song it was, but it had a lot of it was just a praise and worship, and like the harmonizing was awesome. I was singing with Lee, the music, the worship leader. Everybody performing on stage with their instruments towards God it was just an awesome experience. And Chris got to sing with Chris Kotke. And if you know who she is, her voice is absolutely beautiful. It's amazing. And so I'd be able to sing with them and harmonize with them. That last song almost brought me to tears. We were into it, we were singing, and I saw in the back of the church there was a group of, they had to be teens of sorts they were part of the youth group, I think. I don't know. Either way, it was like 4 or 5 girls were in the way back, and they were like hands up, jumping up and down as the song was playing, as we were singing. To see them that invested, to see them that unashamed, it almost brought me to tears, and it got me pretty emotional, and even a little bit thinking about it. It was so powerful that they were able to just be there with hands up, jumping up and down, singing the song. They were feeling it that much to the point where they didn't care. They didn't care who was around. Yeah, they were in their way back, but I think it was just there was a lot of room back there for them to be able to participate in worship the way that they were. So I don't know who you were, young ladies. If for some reason you see this, thank you for encouraging me in that moment. And it was a huge lesson for me as I come back and I reflect on things that I observed and learned this week. On Sunday, seeing that, it almost brought me to tears. It was almost difficult to sing the rest of that song. I was just overwhelmed with complete joy, and it really just pulled in that whole moment for me to be able to see them jumping up and down, hands up, head down, like the works, the full experience. It was unashamed in the dictionary. That you just be able to play the little clip of what I saw, you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go do that. And it makes me wonder, if they can do that in church towards God, if I can be up there praising and worshiping unashamed, if I can wave to my son, what other things are we capable of unlocking in our lives if we attack it without worrying about what other people think about us? Even at the gym, hey, I want to go to the gym, but I don't know really what I'm doing, and people are gonna make fun of me because I'm, maybe overweight or I'm out of shape. I can't touch my toes. I'm not flexible. What are they gonna think? I see this person. They have, they may be struggling, and maybe I can help them with money, but I don't want anybody else to see me do it. I don't want them to think that I'm, I don't know what they're gonna think if I try to help this person out, or I see somebody fall on the sidewalk and they're over there. It's like, oh man, I feel embarrassed for them, but I don't want them to think that I'm judging them or anything. I don't want to try to offer help because it was a very embarrassing situation. What do I do? Or and plug in whatever it is that you may be thinking in this situation. If we went out there intentionally, unashamed, if we lived unashamed for what we believe, what we wear, what we do, what we say, purely, if it's with good intention, unashamed, what could it accomplish? And I just want to challenge you today, with all the other stuff that I've gone through, to live unashamed. And for me, it's being unashamed of the gospel, not worrying about what people think if I try to bring this up, to try to help them out. Not being ashamed to do the right thing, and stand out in that way. not being ashamed to go to the gym even when I don't want to because I'm afraid of what other people are going to think about me or what I look like or whatever it is. I want to challenge you with that. Live unashamed of who you are today and whose you are. You have family, you have friends that loved you, that love you. Maybe you don't like your job right now, but I want you to just not be ashamed of that job. I want you to go into it and say, I got this. I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm not ashamed of what I look like. I am confident in that and build on that. And it only gets more, only progresses if you continue to build on that with consistency. And a lot of times it's just one foot in front of the other and repeating that process. What is one thing I can do where I get that feeling of, oh man, I don't know about this. I don't know what they're going to think. You overcome it and do it anyway, even if it's just once. Even if it's just once today, once this week, and just take it one step at a time and grow on it. And accountability, holding each other accountable. You see somebody post something or do something that's kind of out of character, ask them about it. You don't have to go out there and point a finger in their face. You can say, hey, I noticed this. It's kind of not like you to do this. What's going on? How you feeling? Are you doing all right? How can I help you? How can I best support you? And also within that, practicing your listening, your hearing, and your processing of information. You don't always have to jump in there and force your opinion. You don't always have to comment on a Facebook post. Um, you can just observe, you can listen, and you can interject. I'm not saying to be quiet and not say anything and be ashamed of what people are going to think about you, but you can learn so much by listening and watching and hearing, not only in situations like that, but with yourself as well, feeling yourself out, thinking, okay, how can I, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I doing these things? Where can I add on to my life here rather than subtract? What can I do to bring out that best possible version of myself? So with those challenges, go make a difference in your life or in somebody else's life today. This is Iron Purpose. Stay sharp, everybody.